the sails of the sea are over the wild briny pool. For the ocean and different sails upon high is just like a bird on the wing. And when the shadows of evening draw nigh, he'll sail to my window and sing. Come take a trip in my airship. Come take a sail among the stars. Come have a ride around Venus. Come have a spin around Mars. No one to watch while we're busy. No one to see while we school. Come take a trip in my airship and we'll visit the man in the moon.
Hello and welcome to Airship27 Productions Podcast number 75, our Diamond Jubilee episode.
Hey.
I'm your co-host, Chief Engineer Rob Davis, here virtually with my co-host, Captain Ron Fournier.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing, all you loyal airmen out there? Yeah, and Rob, 75 episodes. Holy smokes. and they said it wouldn't last. Right.
Yeah, they were right.
Oh, such craziness. I swear sometimes. I was just checking out episode 74 just before we got on. I checked on YouTube. It's steadily climbing. I find YouTube fascinating. For all our past shows are still out there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They're always out there. And certain ones are still climbing after they've been up there for a year. All right. Episode 63 is like now got 175 views.
Yeah. Why that one?
Right.
What's on that one that got everybody's attention?
I'm going to have to go listen to it again after this show.
Yeah, we need to do that again, whatever it was.
See what it was that we said. I mean, no, understand, loyal airmen, all that stuff's outdated now. Okay, it's come and gone news-wise, all right? And that's the point of why we do this show, is to keep you guys posted on what's new, what we've got in the queue, what we're working on, and our future travels, and et cetera, and trying to keep it up to date, which is why we do it once a month. But hey, you want to go check out those past episodes and click on another view, by all means.
It's it raises our profile a little bit. I mean, I get notifications on how many people have logged on, how many minutes they've been on, and all this other stuff. We're not getting advertising income or anything like that, so none of that's really important to us. But except that we want people to see this,
Yeah,
we want our fans to see this. Yeah.
Right. And spend at least 1 hour a month, laughing at a couple of old farts like me and Rob, doing our shtick with all this modern technology. All right. Yeah. So, hey, we're going to get rolling with the show.
Speaking of,
guess who gets to start the bad joke of the month? All right.
Here we go, folks. Here we go.
I had a couple, but I'm going to go with this one. My gut tells me to go with this one.
All right.
Okay. So this guy's got shipwrecked. He was on his boat and he got shipwrecked, and there was this dinky little island, and he washed ashore and survived like Robinson Crusoe. Years went by, and he's lost track of time, except when he was notching in a palm tree someplace. So one day he's walking along the beach and he sees something coming out of the water. So he stops and he looks, right? And it's a scuba diver. And the scuba diver sees him and starts walking towards him, right? And scuba diver's got, the whole wetsuit thing, right? With the scuba tank and the helmet and the goggles.
Yeah.
So as it gets close to him and unleashes the tank and drops it, right? Comes out of the water, takes off its goggles, helmet, the visor and the helmet. And it's this beautiful blonde. All right. She goes, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm a sailor. I've been shipwrecked on this island." She goes, "How long you been here?" He says, "I think about 10 years. "Oh my Lord," she says. "When's the last time you had a cigarette?" "What do you think? 10 years. She goes to her wetsuit left arm. She got a pocket. She unzips it, takes out a pack of Winstons and a book of matches. "Here you go." She lights it up for him. "Oh my Lord, that's heavenly. That's fantastic." She goes, "When's the last time you had a drink?" "Lady?" She goes, "Hang on. right pocket, unzips a pocket, pulls out a flask, Kentucky bourbon, takes a swig of that. You're an angel. You're a bloody angel. Thank you so much. Now she looks at him and winks, grabs a hold of the top zipper. She goes, when's the last time you played around? She starts to unzip it. He looks at it, drops to his knees and says, don't tell me you have a set of clubs in there.
Oh, he has been on that island too long. Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah. Got the old slap in the head with Val. That one. She's only a guy's going to find that funny, Ron. I swear.
Well,
Yeah. Hey, look, I tell you right now, living in a cold state like Colorado, I believe it or not, I've seen them out there in the snow. Okay, I've seen them shooting
my
9
dad
holes.
would play in all kinds of weather. He didn't play in the snow, but he would play in it was cold outside. If the sun was out and the temperature got up to about 45, 50 degrees, he'd put a jacket on, go out and play golf. He loved to play golf.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
There you go.
My.
All right.
So
Okay. I'll let you start off with released since our last show.
Released since our last show, Pulp Mythology Volume 2. This second volume features 3 new tales of mythological characters. Samantha Lienhard kicks off with a story of the mighty Heracles. This is followed by a tale of the Russian witch Baba Yaga by Michael Panush, and Mel Odom wraps it all up with a hilarious novella starring Pecos Bill. All in all, a trio of really wild, imaginative adventures. Gary Cato did the interior illustrations, and Ted Hammond did that spectacular cover.
Oh, yeah. We're getting all kinds of good vibes with that release. Everybody and his uncle is happy with it. Particularly our 3 writers who, when they saw it with Ted's cover, and then they saw Gary's illustrations. All right, Mel Odom. Basically, when he got his copy, he dropped me a line and says, you know what, this is the most fun I've had in a long time, so I may write you another Pecos Bill story. I went, bring it on, buddy.
Hey.
Bring it on. Okay.
Yeah.
The more
Why not?
we do. Yeah. Again, then there's a little bit later in the agenda, we're going to talk about how you and I put projects together and which ones we do and which ones we don't. Okay. So then after Pulp Mythology 2, we finally released the Silver Pentacle, book number 1. Now, this is the start of a new fantasy adventure series by Nancy Hansen, combining elements of both fantasy and science fiction. Colorado-based artist Guy Davis and a good friend of mine did all the interior illustrations and the painted cover, and delivered far beyond, my own personal expectations.
Yep.
And Nancy even did an entire blog, Rob, about this particular book.
I've read that. I scanned it. I didn't read the
how
whole thing.
long this had been in the works.
It was pretty long. It was a pretty long post, but from what I could see of it, she was very pleased with how it all turned out. Yeah.
And so happily, so was Guy, the artist, enough so that Nancy had submitted a second manuscript for a book 2 in the series, and that's now in Guy's capable, creative hands.
Cool.
And so who knows, but eventually we will be doing the Silver Pentacle book 2. All right.
Okay,
and
cool.
then
what's next? With the usual caveat.
As always.
Yeah. C.O. Jones, Volume 4, Homefront by Fred Adams Jr. This is the 4th book in the adventures of a World War II veteran who has the uncanny ability to sense when magic is present. He was a member of a super secret team in the Army dealing with the occult, and now basically operates as a private eye. I'm currently working on the interior illustrations, and then we'll tackle the cover. And I just finished up and sent Ron a JPEG of the latest illustration, number 6.
Yep.
So it's a novel, so there's 9 in it, so there's 3 more to go.
Yeah.
So I might have it done by the weekend. Maybe
that's excellent.
We're recording on Tuesday, and hopefully by the weekend I'll have it all done.
Yeah, I was checking out. I've got the back cover blur done.
Okay.
And I'll get that off to you later this afternoon after the show.
Cool.
with some images that I think might be appropriate for this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, again, another opportunity for us to share our process with our loyal airmen here. But this particular story, when we first meet C.O. Jones in the first book in the series, he's again been released from World War II, like, all the other vets coming back home. And he's operating out of his hometown, which is Brownsville, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first adventure takes place there, but then the second one sees him go to L.A. looking for work. And the next two and three take place in L.A. And then finally, in the book that you've just read, he's come back to Brownsville. All right.
Right.
So, in considering that and after I read and edited it, I wrote up the back cover blurb, and the heading of the back cover is called Back to Brownsville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I went, okay, well, it's a real town. Wouldn't it be cool with the blurb to get some images? So good old internet. I went on, Google Images and whatever, and actually found 3, I think, very representative images of Brownsville, Pennsylvania. And they have that look in the pictures, Rob, of being timeless.
Yeah.
So basically my thoughts are, I'll send you, the text that'll go, plus those images, and either, pick the one that you think works the best with them, or if you want to do a collage or whatever. But it should make a very evocative and intriguing back cover for a prospective person to pick up off the table and say, okay, I might want to read this,
Yep. The one of the illustrations calls for them. They're sitting around talking in an office, and the wall behind the guy that's sitting behind the desk was pretty blank. And I thought, well, what would be kind of cool is if I could find a map of Brownsville and put it on the wall behind him. You've probably seen you've seen it, but you probably didn't notice. That's an actual map of Brownsville from like the 1880s.
That's awesome.
Or something like that. And it's on the back wall behind the guy. If you have an old office in an old town like that, you would have stuff like that. You'd frame it and put it on the wall in your office. So I thought that'd be kind of a cool aside.
I like that.
It's actually a map of Brownsville. So so I probably saw some of those images that you've sent me, because when I typed in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, a bunch of different stuff popped up, but I was looking for maps. Yeah. So the one I picked it's pretty cool.
Okay.
So I'll have to wait and see what you got.
Yeah. Obviously after this little discourse, our loyal airmen now are going to be very curious. And listen, all the previous 3 C.O. Jones are still available at Amazon in paperback and on Kindle. If you like private eye stories with a little supernatural element to it, it's an excellent series. Fred's a fantastic writer. Okay.
Yeah. I had a ball reading it.
Yeah. I mean, the best way to describe it is there are certain writers that are readable. Okay. They know what they're doing when they write, so that suddenly pages are turning and you're at the end of the book. It's that easy. And I know.
I didn't want it to end.
Yeah. And we have, and thank the fates. I mean, we have several of those at Airship 27 who deliver all the time. Fred being one of those, Nancy Hansen, and we can name a bunch of others. So, if you're curious at all, please check it out. Okay, so that's in the queue, making its way to an end, like Rob said, hopefully in the coming weekend.
Yeah.
Also getting close to the end is another Western from Airship 27, and this one's going to come under the title Marshall Horn of Talon's Crossing. Now, it's a collection of 3 stories featuring a Nevada marshal named Alexander Horn. I believe it's no, it's not Alexander. Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm going to forget the name. Gideon Horn. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And the reference here is Rob's going to tell you. Alexander Horn's my grandson, so no reason that didn't flop in. Okay,
yeah.
And of course, it was weird reading these stories when it's in the family. But anyways, it's a story of Gideon Horn, who was the marshal of this little town, Talon's Crossing in Nevada, post-Civil War. Typical Great Western stories. Tyler Offhammer's the creator and writer, and he did 3 of them. And so basically, the idea was easy enough to come up with the title. And we got a young artist from New England okay, name from Maine, in fact, named Jeff Cram, to do the interior illustrations. And as of now, he has done, like Rob has with C.O. Jones, he's done 6 illustrations. He's got 3 left. And this is done as far as the stories and the illustrations. And I'm very happy to report that after last month's show, I contacted Adam Shaw, one of the finest artists that's ever done covers for us and other people in the new pulp community. And again, tickle his little interest, Rob. Hey, Adam, you ever done a Western? it's
Yeah.
Like I can remember a while back, we did the pirate vampire thing, and that
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yeah, he
Fangs
knocked
of the
that one
Sea,
out of the park. Yeah.
right. So this time it was, you ever done a Western? And Adam got back to me. He goes, no, I haven't. What do you got? So here we go. All right. So Adam Shaw will be doing the cover to Marshall Horn of Talon's Crossing. Bo Rob and I are super anxious to see what he delivers. And obviously now it looks like this is going to be another stellar production for us. And then somewhere down the line, Rob.
Yeah. We actually got a question about this on the Facebook page. The Adventures of Doc Atlas, Volume 1. It was created by writers Michael Black and Ray Lovato. This is their take on the classic pulp adventure heroes, a la Doc Savage. Volume 1 reprints several of the earliest Doc Atlas stories, and we're happy to report artist Ed Cato has begun working on the interior illustrations. When completed, Ed will also do the cover, which will be his first cover for Airship 27. So I think he's a bit anxious, but excited to dig into that. That should be a lot of fun. Yeah. Ed's one of those guys who approached us, goes, I used to do a lot of art back in the day, and I'd kind of like to illustrate one of your books. So we gave him a shot, and we urged him along, and he's really turned into a hell of an illustrator. Yeah. So I can't wait to see what he does with Doc Atlas.
Yeah. So you're talking about a question. Somebody posed a question.
They did. What's on the Adventures of Doc Atlas? So, and here's the answer to that question. It's in the pipeline. The artist is working on it. It'll get done when he finishes up and then finishes the cover. So fortunately, one person's doing both, and we can pretty much depend. He'll crank this out at a decent pace.
Yeah. Well, he's already sent you and me some early roughs.
Right.
From the scenes, and having I've read and edited all the stories, so his compositions in the roughs were spot on. I mean, he totally captured the scenes.
Yeah, he's got it. Yeah. He's got it down now.
I'm again, and I'm telling Ed not to get ahead of himself too fast. Let's wrap up the interior illustrations, and then between the three of us, we can discuss what the cover should be and what it should look like.
Like I haven't given any thought to what I'm going to do for the C.O. Jones cover yet. It'll just depend on what stands out, what part of the story jumps out. If one of the illustrations kind of, once I finished it, it jumps out as possible cover. It just, so it's best to just finish the interior illustrations. Then you can put your mind to what the cover's supposed to look like. If it's a different animal than an interior illustration is, you can
very much so.
Yeah, you can be a little abstract, or you can do a composition that's got several different images to it. It's a little different from an interior illustration. So
right. I mean, the thing with the interior illustrations, and I've always felt this, and I think you do to some degree. Airship 27 does them, and it's it's a challenge for us. It's an extra burden in getting books completed, but at the same time, it's what I like to think of as our bonus gift to our loyal readers. Okay, so that's what that is. But the cover, on the other hand, is that item that's going to be out in the open market competing with other publishers. Okay, and that aspect of it is totally something different. Okay, that aspect is definitely cued to grab your attention. Okay, to make you say, "Hey, look over here! Don't look at that guy's cover or that guy's cover. Look at me! Look at me!"
Yeah, it's a chrome. It's a squirrel, a chrome-plated squirrel. To get your attention. Shiny squirrel.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Doc Atlas has a large following, and we've had a lot of people, contacting us. They're interested in the series because they've read all these past stories. Obviously, one of the things that Rob and I didn't want to do was just launch a whole bunch of new stories when we had the opportunity, and Michael and Ray, the creators, were willing to let us reproduce the old stuff. So it just seemed natural for us to reprint the older stories and familiarize new readers who don't know who Doc is. And they can do that a lot better with those classic older stories. So, but hey, the good news is Ray and Michael are now writing new Doc Atlas stories. So once we get this volume out, which hopefully will be by, maybe the end of summer, when Ed's sketches are looking great, he's got the character down pat. Rob is helping him with some suggestions on the looks, the feels of the characters, the way the guys wrote him. So working together, and as Rob already said, okay, I don't think it's going to take Ed a long time to go through this, and both of us are going to be very excited to see him do his first cover for Airship 27. That should be something special.
Yeah, unlike a lot of other things that are created by the writers that we're working with, this has actually been printed elsewhere before, and it's had some images done of them before. So the characters had to be similar, if not, as close as possible to the look of those previous incarnations. So we had to jump through a few hoops to make sure that we got all our ducks in a row and made sure that he looked the way he's supposed to, and everybody's happy about it. So we had to jump through a few of those hoops first, but we're beyond that. And now Ed's got the pencil out and he's moving right along.
Yep. So, hey, I'm personally looking forward to this, and I'm hoping that Mike and Ray are happy with the results, and so are all you Doc Atlas fans out there. Okay.
Cool.
So now the next thing, the agenda, because again, we've still got so many other books that are waiting in the files. And I do want to relate this. Once again, an artist who's been working with us for the last year, almost 2 years, recently had to bow out of a project.
Yeah.
Because of life responsibilities. All right. And neither Rob and I, could fault the guy at all. He's a great artist. He's a good friend.
No.
He did 2 absolutely wonderful books for us. But again, he's got responsibilities. I'm assuming a family, etc., and it just couldn't iron out. So again, nobody gets rich doing this stuff, and that being the case, I know he felt bad, but as Rob and I both told him, hey, look, we're so grateful for the 2 books he illustrated for us and made absolutely beautiful, and keeping our fingers crossed that as time goes by, maybe his situation will change. He'll, you never lose that itch to be creative. And hopefully, if, again, things get better for him economically, he gets better on solid footing, he could come back to us. But I just repeat this only because it's a clarion cry that again, we need really good illustrators. And if you're that kind of person who's just starting out, you think you've got the chops, and you maybe studied in college or art school, and you'd like to give this a shot, give Rob a call or myself. Find us on Facebook. All right, we're right there. We're real easy to get a hold of.
Our emails are on the website, so you can contact us that way.
Please. All right.
The thing about it is that there's not going to be much money to this. But if you really like pulps and you want it, you thought about the fact, hey, I'd like to illustrate some pulps. That's cool. We're happy to get anybody who can help us out, but we also understand that it's tough if you don't have something else that you're making money with. If you're making money only on your art, this may not be the exact thing for you, unless you can fit us in between your other projects. Right. We've got several artists that do that. That they have other projects going on. We approach them and go, well, I can't get to it for a couple of months. Cool. If you can get to it in a couple of months, that's great. We'd love to see what you can do with it. but we definitely want you doing the money making stuff first. So
Yep.
So
And we have
the point is we will work with whoever wants to work with us.
With us.
We have no deadlines.
Ever.
Yeah,
no deadlines ever. And look, hey, I'm serious. Okay, if you want to look at us as a stepping stone to bigger and better things, like, hey, I'm going to get something published in print, and I can show other publishers.
Right.
We're you guys. We'll gladly help you get that step up, okay? And that's something we wish for all our writers and artists already working for us now.
Yeah.
Nobody is happier when we find out that one of our Airship creators has gotten a new writing contract or a new art contract, all right? I mean, these people are phenomenal, and we want nothing but the best for them. So, hey, that's the way this works. Again, the call is out there. If that's you, please. All right. We've got some,
or if you know somebody,
right.
if you know somebody who's either right on the verge of becoming a professional and needs that extra little nudge, I'll work with them, see if we can't get them to that point. We've had several artists that's happened with, and they've moved on to done other things. So
yep.
Yeah, we'll work with most anybody.
that is the truth. And hey, look, no, hey, if nothing else, we're going to guarantee you will have fun doing this.
Yes.
And as the editor, I'm telling you right now, you're going to read some of the best fiction you have ever read in your entire life. You get a sneak peek before they even get in print.
Right,
all right.
Right.
So now I got to thinking about one of the projects that we do have that we're now putting together again, which was kind of a unique little how this all came about kind of thing. And so I thought, okay, it might make a nice little agenda for the show for you and I to share about how projects do come together, sometimes when they're born and we least expect it, okay? So I'm calling this Willing to Take Direction. Okay. All right. So a few years ago, we did an anthology featuring one of Pulp's most popular masked Avengers, the Phantom Detective.
Yep.
The book had 4 terrific stories, some truly great art, including a stellar cover. We thought for sure others of our writers would want to jump on board with this series. Sadly, that didn't transpire, and in the end, we moved on to other projects. Well, recently, one of those original writers, Gene Moyers, questioned us here right on the show, okay, about how, he was sad the series didn't take hold and wondered if we'd ever do a second volume. All right. As it turned out, in the intervening years, I'd actually received a new Phantom Detective story by a writer named Carson Demmons, and it was sitting in the files collecting dust. Now, I, in turn, reported this to Gene, and he wasted no time, all right, in submitting to me another Phantom Detective story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bolstered by this enthusiasm, all right, I realized, okay, so we've got 2 stories. We need 4 for an anthology. I reached out to 2 of our really, regulars, people that generally are willing to help out get books finished, that being Fred Adams Jr. and Michael Housel, okay? And with a little arm twisting, all right, got them to sign on and contribute to volume 2. So ergo, thanks to Carson and Gene, we've now a second volume of the Phantom Detective on the assembly line. Now, I relate this in the show to all our loyal airmen because, again, I want people to understand we do listen to people's ideas and suggestions, not only from our fellow writers and artists, all right, but you people out there as well. If there is a pulp character that you feel is underserved, okay, who hasn't got a spotlight, is public domain now, all right, and you'd like to see what we could do with them, put it out there. Give us a holler, all right? If it's at all feasible and we can drum up some kind of interest amongst our staple of writers and artists, who knows? Your little question might lead to another title.
I think, isn't that what happened with Metropolis, the Towers of Metropolis book that we have? That one of our fans suggested we look into that, and we found out it was a public domain, and now we've done 2 of those, if I remember correctly.
We've done one.
We've done one. Okay. There's a second one in the works, though.
Right. Yeah. The second one, I believe, again, we're almost at that stage where I think the second one has 2 stories, and we need 2 more stories to put it together, and we would have a second volume. So, hey, we'll see
but
what
there's
happens.
another example of somebody mentioning, hey, have you guys ever thought about doing this? And we go, well, no, but that'd be really interesting. So, yeah.
Well, we go back to all the times that you and I have attended Windy City or Pulp Fest and had people come up to our tables and ask for this or ask for that. And you'll back me up on this. There was a period early on where we had a lot of people coming to our tables and looking for mystery novels.
Yep.
All right. And we didn't have a lot. We had basically Mask Avengers, a few horror pieces and classic characters like that, but not outright mysteries. We had Sherlock Holmes always.
Yeah.
But they wanted more of those private eye kind of things.
Yeah. Hard-boiled detective stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think after two years of this kind of banter, I can remember one of our writers from Chicago, Chris Bell, came over to the table, and I said to him, I said, "Hey, Chris," I says, "How would you like to have a new series?" And he goes, "What do you got in mind?" I said, "Well, do me a favor." I says, "In your spare time, don't but I said, go check out classic pulp magazines and see if you can find us a little known classic pulp hero, okay, that nobody has touched in 20, 30 years. And if he's public domain, write me up a Bible, send it to me, and we'll see if we can, launch a new book with this character." All right. So I'm talking now was Marty Quaid.
Yeah, Marty Quaid.
Right,
Yep.
right. Chris Bell came back to me about a month after that con, and he sends me this long document, and it was a Bible he'd written up, and he tells me about Marty Quaid, where he appeared, and what this and that. And with that Bible, I put out the word to the Airship 27 staple of writers. Okay, this was a real writer who wants to join in. Well, within a week, we had 3 other writers, and we put out a Marty Quaid private eye book.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll do a second volume. But it's just how fast that fuse gets lit. That can go from, just an idea to suddenly you've got a book out there that's again reviving a classic pulp character, which is what's a lot of fun for me and Rob.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean these characters, like I said, are special. I mean they've been around for all this time or whatever, and it's always great to dust off the old characters that the very few people recall. I'll give you a heads up. I was just recently talking to a young writer DJ from Savannah, Georgia, named Adam Messer. All right. Now, Adam had me and Bobby Nash on his show a while back on his radio show, talking about new pulp and all this good stuff. And so, knowing Adam likes to write and do stuff, I suggested, well, how would you like to do something for Airship 27? So Adam gets a hold of me and says, all right, so what do you got? Well, I send him my little book of public domain characters that we've used. And he gets back to me with, tell me more about this Ravenwood, stepson of mystery, right? So I sent him what we had on Ravenwood. You were kind enough to send him a PDF of one of the early anthologies, so he'd get a feel for it. Well, Adam calls me the other day, just about 2 days ago in the afternoon, and said, you got a minute? He said, I want to talk about Ravenwood. I went, oh, sure. All right. I says, what's going on? He said, well, he says, an outfit reprinted the original Ravenwood stories.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that was Altus Press and still available at Amazon.
It is.
He goes, there are only 4 stories. That's right. I said, we've doubled that already at Airship 27. So he says, I read those. I said, and? He goes, they're kind of stiff and boring. So now begins this discussion between the two of us. And he says, I like the character. And he says, the supporting cast and all this, the nameless one, Sterling the butler. And I says, that's the point. I says, I now I have fond memories of the first time you and I decided to do a Ravenwood anthology, because another one of our writers had told us the originals were kind of stodgy. And I said, well, you know what? The kicker is the potential was there. The characters were great. But for whatever reason, the creator, and it might have been Frederick C. Davis, who was a workhorse of the pulps, basically wanted to write him one certain way, and much more cerebral, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. And not a whole lot of action and wild, crazy stuff. So that being the case, we basically, addressed our writers and say, hey, punch it up, guys, okay? I mean, we're putting the spotlight on this guy who was just a B character in the past. Let's put some action, adventure, make him colorful and all that. And as I was talking, I'm telling Adam this on the phone, and he gets it. And I said, so look, I said, I'm glad you read the originals. It's only going to help you understand who the characters are, but you really need to punch it up, okay? One of the Airship 27 stuff is we don't want to put you to sleep, all right? We want act. This is pulp, people. This is pulp. And so eventually we started laughing, and he got it. And so he's off. He came up with a plot. He's got a plot, which I liked a great deal, and said, hey, go write it. So we're about to debut another writer at Airship 27 later on this year.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep. So there you go. And hey, we're going to wrap up the regular agenda right now with an actual question. But I'm going to let Rob take it because.
Oh, thanks.
No, this one you have to take because it's in your wheelhouse.
Well, yes and no.
Well, we'll cover it. We'll cover it.
Okay. I wrote an answer for this, but okay. It's from Mark Vander Zanden. In honor of the cool illustration Rob just debuted, what is the origin of Radio Rita? And I wrote, LOL. Well, that's on Ron. Yours truly had absolutely nothing to do with it other than the recent illustration of lovely Rita. You started posting that on Facebook to announce each and every one of our podcasts. And then you came to me and you said, well, I'm tired of using these illustrations that I found on the internet. Can you do up something of her? Well, I'm not a huge fan of sex pots like that. The women I find sexy are a little more subtle than that. But I also like from WKRP in Cincinnati, the secretary. I forget the character's name in that. But she was a sex pot, but she was a smart sex pot. She used that to get everyone wrapped around her finger so she could get what she wanted, but yet she was also very capable and all of that. So that kind of brought me around. Now the illustration I ended up doing it's typical sexy cheesecake stuff, which is that's not my normal wheelhouse, but I jumped in and did that. So take it away, Ron.
All right.
Why did you come up with Radio Rita, and how did you come up with Radio Rita?
Well, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the thing was, I've always played. Once we had named the company, all right, you got to go all the way back to the start. Once we had named the company Airship 27, all right, and that's comes up with, and then for people interested, it's just because my personal love with aviation history. Mm-hmm. And I've always had a huge fascination for lighter than airships, Zeppelins and dirigibles and whatever. And so that was number one with the Airship. 27 is my daughter's birthday, my youngest daughter. Her birthday is on the 27th. So that's a very lucky number for me. So that was it. Out of whim, that's what we were going to call the company. And then, as luck would have it, Rob and I signs on, as the art director, my partner with all this craziness, and designs that really awesome logo, which I to this day still love. I think that logo sings. I think it's been our brand, and I think people recognize it and know what it means and what it stands for.
Put it up on a big banner behind us at shows, and
and it stands for quality books. This is what we're all about. This is Airship 27. So now jump ahead, and we're on Facebook, and we've got all these pages, and we decide to do the podcast. Originally just audio with our good buddy Brant Fowler helping us out and launching us on this, and then eventually doing the YouTube videos. And I'm thinking one day, I'm going to start telling people, okay, hey, we got a show coming. If you want to ask us some questions, now's the time to do it because we're going to record. And of course, being a writer, I'm thinking, well, what if there's a whole base for Airship 27? An actual base out there, like the Blackhawks used to have in the comic books, all right? Airship 27 Productions home base.
Hangar.
All right, we have a hangar 27, and it's manned by a crew of talented, skilled people, including somebody manning the radio. And that was it. And I went, okay, all right, so what have we got? And the actress you were talking about, I remember her character, but it was Lonnie Anderson.
Lonnie Anderson. Yeah, it was the actress. I don't remember the character's name.
Right. But I had the same thought. So what if we had this really knockout, beautiful woman who's our radio operator, who's in charge of messaging throughout the crew and operations at Airship 27? Well, Radio Rita, it was a natural. And that was it. So one podcast, I said, hey, I just got a call from Radio Rita at Hangar 27, and we often went. Okay, so every month it was Radio Rita until I'm scouring through the internet one day looking for beautiful woman on the radio. That's my search thing. Beautiful woman on the radio. And up comes this Gil Elfgren pinup girl, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge Elfgren fan. I think he did some of the most beautiful, like the girl next door with that little touch of sexiness. All right. It was never lurid or gross or anything. It was just really pinup cheesecake. All right. Just a little innocent fun of the 40s. All right. And 50s. And that's what this image was. And I immediately plastered it one month in announcing Radio Rita, and there she was. So that was it. All our loyal airmen on Facebook, people started jumping in. Then I found another picture. I think it was a young Rene Russo.
Yes,
who looks a great deal like that pinup.
It was a radio ad. It was a radio ad, like
she's on a wireless.
Yeah.
So then I'm using that. All right. So ultimately, it was like everything was building up to that, to the point where I had people like writing us and going, so when are we going to see Radio Rita? Or, we ever going to put her in a story or this or that? So, these things take on a life of their own, buddy. You know that as well as I do.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, we won't even get into Chef Pierre over at the Pulp Factory. All right. That's another one of my characters who's coming to life. But I got to tell you, all right, I hadn't given this thought until you turned in that pinup, which I absolutely love. I think the pinup is so awesome that I'm looking to get T-shirts made, okay, and maybe even a sweatshirt. That's how much I love your Radio Rita. So today I'm on Pulp Factory, right, and I had forgotten. I had absolutely forgotten. And one of the guys posted and said, "So, was she the same lovely Rita the Beatles sang about? Lovely Rita, meter man."
Uh-huh.
I went, oh my God.
That song ran through my head the whole time I was drawing her. I even titled the illustration that I made Lovely Rita in honor of that song.
Right. So there you go. Hey, look, I want to put a final word with that, a little capstone to all of that, okay? Check out my blog Friday. My Friday morning Airship 27 blog, flight log, because you will see the entire history of Radio Rita, which I've just encapsulated, but I'm including a lot of those other pictures that we used over the years with the postings, the picture of Rene Russo, the Gil Elfgren, all that stuff, all coming down to that amazing pinup you just did. And so there you go, Mark. That's the birth of Radio Rita. As to whether her or Chef Pierre or we even came up with a third character. Thanks to Rob giving me an illustration that he sprang from his fertile imagination. All right, and that was Gadgets. All right, Gadget Burnham. All right, and so eventually I'm going to have to write a story. I'm going to have to write a story about Hangar 27. It's going to have to get done. I can see that coming.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So, hey, my good friend, is there anything else we want to cover this month? What are you up to?
I'm trying to think if there was. Oh, I know what it was. Someone online was asking us when we were going to be appearing at conventions and stuff. Because they lived out in Oregon, and their first question was, when are we going to be out in there in the Oregon area? Well, that is so far away that it's not possible for us to do. And I explained it to that person that questioned it. The fact is that it costs, since we go to shows and we sell books, we have to have inventory that we take along, and shipping it is just cost prohibitive. We would not be able to make back expenses. We would lose money going to a show. So we have to limit it to how far Rob can drive in one day, which is about 9, 10. I'm stretching it to 11 hours. I can do it. But it has to be something where I can drive our inventory to the show. So we were going to try and go to Pittsburgh again this year, but that conflicted with the show that I'm doing in August. But we're going to try and do that again next year. Fingers crossed that it doesn't conflict with anything. So the first show that I will be attending will be Planet Comic-Con, and that's in August. Starts I believe it's the 19th. That's a Friday. So it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 19, 20, 21. That was the same weekend that Pulp Fest is. That's why we can't go to Pulp Fest, because I'm driving to Kansas City. It's the opposite direction.
Yep.
So yeah. So that's my first appearance, and then Ron and I will be together as Airship27 in Windy City for a Windy City Pulp and Paper show, and that's in September, and it's the 9th, 10th, 11th, or is it 10th, 11th, 12th?
Yeah, that's the ballpark. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's 9, 10, 11, but I could be wrong. It's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, they start letting us load in on Thursday night,
and that is the 9th.
I believe that's the 9th. That's
you
why
got
I'm
the
thinking
dates right.
the
You got the dates right. Yep.
Yeah, because that's when you're flying in and I'm driving in that day.
Yeah.
And then we will probably unload all our stuff and then set up the next morning.
Right.
But after that, who knows? I know there's things are starting to open up again. So you may have some conventions this fall.
Oh well, I'm right now my record looks like there's a couple of things going on which I'm going to find interesting. It looks like there's going to be another free comic book day this year.
In the fall?
In the fall, in August.
Okay, yeah, because I remember last year they did it. They did it in later in the year, because it's usually May.
In May, it's the first Saturday of May.
Right.
So apparently, from what I've learned from our local comic shop here in town, that they're looking, DC and Marvel, of course, the big push behind this, all right, the big two guys, but they're looking at another free comic book day this year in August. So should that fall into place, I'm usually there at Griffin's Games and Comics here in Fort Collins. Now, then the local city Comic Con looks like it's going to happen in August as well.
Okay.
So we're myself and my young protege Todd Jones are in the process of trying to get the people who do the con to understand and be aware of the possibilities of free comic book day, because if both happen on the same weekend, it could be detrimental to both.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
whereas
both of them, yeah.
Right. Whereas they can't control the date of free comic book day, the business community who does the Fort Collins Comic Show at the community center could do it the weekend after, and we could use free comic book day to promote the local Comic Con. So fingers crossed that might happen. Okay. So like I said, that's in August. Again, like I said, Rob and I are together at Windy City. But then my next regular travel show is the Rocky Mountain Con, which happens in Denver.
I figured that.
Right.
It's usually in November.
Right. It's right around my birthday. And this year, in fact, it's the day after. It's November the 6th. It's a 2-day show. It's Saturday and Sunday. And it's run by Tim Moret, and a really great guy and a good friend. So I definitely plan on being there. And then there is a 1-day show at a mini mall in Scottsdale, Nebraska, that happens in October. And I've been to that for the last 2 years.
Yeah, you told me how great a little show that is. 1-day show, and you sell out of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's this mini mall on the outskirts of town. Right. It's basically a drive up early in the morning. We do the show. We drive back, because it's basically going north up to Cheyenne, straight shot from Fort Collins. We get into Cheyenne. We hang a right, go east. Okay, and 2 hours later, we're in Scottsdale. So, again, it's a fun little show, and it looks like the people who do it, a bunch of guys, they have a real great time. They've invited us. We've gone up, filled up our tables, and like I said, we sell out every time we do it. So, those are the shows that I hopefully will be doing by the end of the year. and knock on wood, everything goes well for Rob in Kansas City, yours truly at Rocky Mountain, and we can see a lot of you loyal airmen again. Believe me, we've got a lot of titles that we put out last year that people only saw via Amazon and email, and we're so anxious to get these on tables in front of you.
I'm looking at the boxes underneath the table next to me. We bought a bunch of books to take to Windy City last year, and they're sitting in boxes off to my left here.
Which is a good point. I'm gonna bring this up now, and we will continue to bring this up until then.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it.
Yeah, but Rob and I are really looking at, we have to move inventory, people, obviously.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at making you the beneficiaries of that need. All right.
Right.
We may be scaling back our prices, maybe have some options in hand, like buy
items,
2 books and maybe get this one, stuff like that. But we're going to have a lot of that available for those of you who make the trip to Windy City. It will be well worth your efforts to get there, believe me.
If you're fans of our books and you want to add some to your collection, this would be the opportune time to do that. Again, I wish we could go to Pulp Fest as well, because that would help us move some of this stuff as well. Mostly what I sell at Windy's at Kansas City is comic book stuff that I do, and I have several people who come back for Sherlock Holmes books. Those sell really well at Planet Comic Con as well. But some of the other books, I have a couple of people that come in and they're looking, they want to say, what came out from Airship 27? What have you got with you? Well, I can't take everything with me to I wouldn't have room underneath the table, because I get one little table, 6-foot long table at Planet Comic Con to put all my stuff in. So I can't take everything. So it's all, I will be reminding folks as we get closer and closer to that, tell me what you're looking for.
Right.
I'll be sure to bring it with me.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I want to move them. I want to sell them to you. I want you to have them. So, but yeah, we have already done a little bit of discussion about what kind of discount promotional thing do we want to do for this. We've got several ideas, but we promise you that it will be worth your while.
Yep.
To come and take some of these books off our hands.
From our hearts to yours, my friend, my loyal airman. All right.
Yeah, because we also want to bring along the books that we've done since the last show.
Right.
So we've had a whole year, actually 2 years now. By the time Windy City pops around, it will have been almost 2 years full around the calendar that we. Right. In fact, it is 2 years around the calendar since we've sold any books at a show. So we're going to have a bunch of stuff that we're going to need to take with us. So in order to move those, we're going to make you a deal you can't refuse.
I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's it with the cons and everything else. How's your Twilight Grim comic coming along with Silverline? I've
hit kind of a snag. It had a lot of stuff going on. It had a couple. I did a cover for Mark van der Zanden. He wanted a cover for this book that he's.
Yes.
So and he offered me money. He made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Nice cover. Nice cover. I like it a lot.
And it was kind of fun. What he wanted was kind of a fun idea too.
Yeah.
So I jumped on that. So that kind of put me a little bit behind. But I just finished up page 13 of the last issue, issue 4. So that's halfway through the book. It's a 22-page book. We just finished up with the Kickstarter for issue 2 about a month ago, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. The Silverline Comics is in the middle of another promotional Kickstarter for Steam Patriots. Got to remember Steam Patriots and Divinity. Steam Patriots #1 and Divinity #2. And the Steam Patriots is a really interesting concept. It's exactly what it says. It's steampunk during the Revolutionary War. So. Yeah, I mean, it's a great concept.
I love it. I love it. I think
they're weaving history throughout it, so that's kind of interesting. Yeah. And Divinity is this is the second issue. The first issue was kickstarted with the first issue of Twilight Grim, and it's about a young lady who discovers she has powers, and then there's a secret organization trying to track her down, and she and her brother, who recently orphaned the two of them, and this secret organization is out to get her because they know she's got powers and they want to use her. So they're on the run. So it's kind of the old fugitive idea there. And so that's a really interesting concept that Barbara Kalberg came up with. And she's got writing help from R.A. Jones on that. So they're in the middle of that right now. Jump over to Kickstarter and check that out if you're interested in that sort of thing. But both of those books sound really a lot of fun. So I'm going to kick in a little for that, I think, myself. But go over to Silverline Kickstarter and check that out.
And hopefully
got to plug all man's stuff.
by the end of the summer, fingers crossed, Silverline's going to be promoting my 2-issue miniseries,
cool.
Saturn's Ways,
okay,
which is being illustrated by Richard Junn, a gentleman who's worked for us at Airship27 in the past, and he and I had done a short 8-page space opera strip a while back, and so Roland had come to me, when Silverline was starting up, and asked if I had any projects, collecting dust in the files I'd like to see out. And so, I remember Saturn's Way. It's the story of a young Chinese jewel thief. And that's the best way to describe it. I've got to ask you, and I don't want to steal Roland's thunder here. Okay. But has he approached you about a special project for the holidays?
Yes, he did.
Are you involved? Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
R.A. and I are involved. Yeah.
Okay. I'm currently writing that. I got a hold of Richard, explain what Roland suggested. Richard got back and went, okay, let's do it. So I'm writing that right now. We're not going to tell you more. I do not want to steal Roland's
because I haven't seen the script yet, so I don't even know.
Yeah, you're waiting for R.A. I'm just the opposite. All right. Richard's been working on issue 1 of Saturn's Ways, all right, and had hoped to get pages to Roland by the middle of next month to really put aside a lot of other things and really devote himself to doing the comic. So throwing this curveball at him was like, well, okay, put that aside for a little bit because this is a smaller, singular item that you understand. But it was a challenge coming up, and I think the concept is cool. I like the concept at all. It's going to be fun to see how this develops, all right, and what Roland ends up doing.
I've just got a very loose idea about what it is. I'm just waiting to get the script to see what's going on with it. He just essentially said, well, would you be in? And I'm going, oh, well, yeah, heck yeah. It sounds like fun. So
it is.
I think it's going to be a lot. I think it's like 6 pages.
It is. That's it. Everybody's going to be doing 6 pages, okay? And that, if we say anything else, we're giving it away, and I don't want to do that to Roland. I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I just got stuff my package from the Kickstarter for Twilight Grim 2, and inside there, along with everything else, was a signature book that has pictures and a spot for everyone to get, and a little short bio of all the creators working at Silverline. I couldn't believe how many people are in there.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a whole bunch. So, that's one of the add-ons, I think, when you do the Kickstarter, you can get those signature books. And, but it's got photographs of most everybody in there, plus a little spot where you can go around and try and catch these people at different conventions and get
their signatures.
Book. Yeah. It's kind of fun. I'm not going to, unfortunately, I probably won't see any of those folks in there at any of the shows I do. So except for you when you finally get a book out, but I don't think you're in there yet because you haven't had a book yet. You may be in next year's version because this is 2021. So but so we took a big diversion here. We're almost done with our show. We diverted off to one side here.
Yeah, the comics are a big part of both your life and mine.
We're doing,
it was how we got together in the first place, and it was always the foundation for Airship27, and us reaching out to writers and artists, because thank God we had that network of artists and writers to fall back on, or it would have been really hard to launch a publishing company.
It would have just been you and me.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm working enough as it is.
All right. Hey, look.
Here I am taking on other projects like Twilight Grim and eventually a project you and I are going to work on that. I don't know if we've announced that or not on this show, but we will.
We will. We've got, in fact, before you get into your joke, I just want to say, thanks for stopping by for for episode 75 people. Don't miss episode 76 because I have got a little announcement that I need to make. And I'm holding off until that episode for a special reason, but I want you all aboard to see it. It's kind of important, and something we'll talk about. There'll be other things. We'll be again talking more about the convention season and how we're putting that all together.
Right.
So okay,
right,
buddy.
Right.
Without further ado, your joke.
All right, here we go. In honor of of another school year ending, I came up with. I found this one online. And thought it was appropriate for the end of the school year. In the 1950s, a teacher told her young class to ask her parents for a family story with a moral at the end of it, and to return the next day to tell their stories. In the classroom the next day, Joe gave his example first. My dad is a farmer and we have chickens. One day we were taking lots of eggs to the market in a basket on the front seat of the truck when we hit a big bump in the road. The basket fell off the seat and all the eggs broke. The moral of the story is not to put all your eggs in one basket. Very good, said the teacher. Next, Mary said, we're farmers too. We had 20 eggs waiting to hatch, but when they did, we only got 10 chicks. The moral of the story is not to count your chickens before they're hatched. Very good, the teacher said. Very pleased with the response so far. Next, it was Barney's turn to tell his story. My dad told me this story about my aunt. Aunt Karen was a flight engineer in the World War II, and her plane got hit. She had to bail out over enemy territory, and all she had was a bottle of whiskey, a machine gun, and a machete. Go on, said the teacher, intrigued. Aunt Karen took a drink of the whiskey on the way down to prepare herself. Then she landed right in the middle of 100 enemy soldiers. She killed 70 of them with the machine gun until she ran out of bullets. Then she killed 20 more with the machete till the blade broke. And then she killed the last 10 with her bare hands. Good heavens, said the horrified teacher. What did your father say was the moral of that frightening story? The boy said, stay away from Aunt Karen when she's been drinking. Oh, yeah, stay away from Aunt Karen when she's been drinking.
Oh my God, that's a clunker!
Bad jokes, man. Bad jokes. We dumped another one on you, folks.
I'm thinking that's why people are going through all our back episodes.
That could be they're looking for the jokes. They're looking for the really bad jokes. Oh, they don't get better. Oh man. Okay. Well, hey, we exceeded our hour here. Yes, we did this time.
And again, the hour that you can never ever get back, no matter how hard you try. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Okay,
yes.
the last few shows, a lot of you have been posting on YouTube comments and whatever, and it's heartening. It really is. Rob and I love the fact that you get a kick out of spending this hour with us, as much as we do spending it with you. All right.
Yeah.
And kind of hoping that eventually this will all lead to a lot of you saying, you know what, I got to go to a convention and meet these two guys.
Yeah,
all right.
This is just how we are at a convention. This is as close as we could get to a convention in the last year and a half. So, this is it. Come and see us live and in person. In me in August, and then both of us in September. Come and see us.
Windy City. Windy City is going to be a blast. I guarantee.
And bring your money.
Yep. All right. Until next month, and more hilarity. Rob, sign us off.
Yeah, this is Chief Engineer Rob Davis signing off.
And as ever, Captain Ron says, down ship.